FactsVerse presents Boy is found after 2 years when the cops get a tip about his grandmother's dresser. In September 2017, police officers in rural Illinois were gathering around a home looking for a little boy. His name is Ricky Chekavdia, and he hadn't been seen in close to 2 years. At first, there was no sign of the boy. It was 2 years after this 4-year-old had disappeared that police finally got a tip about a dresser in his grandma's house. Ricky's parents, Michael Chekavdia and Shannon Wilfong, had a difficult relationship, and it was always on again, off again. When Ricky was born in 2002, nothing changed about that. His parents still argued all the time. When they first ended things for good, they decided to share custody of their son. Michael joined the Illinois Army National Guard in 1982 when he was deployed to Iraq shortly after Ricky was born. He wanted to keep a close bond with his son. He even had a portrait of the two commissioned while he was overseas. When Michael returned home to Illinois in 2004, his issues with Shannon started up again. She was refusing to let Michael see his son, which violated the terms of the custody agreement. Unfortunately, in 2007, things took a turn for the worse. Michael set a court date so that Michael could see his son again. Shannon never showed up to court. The judge then granted Michael temporary custody because Shannon hadn't shown up. Shortly before the ruling took effect, Shannon and Ricky both disappeared. Sadly, in November 2007, Shannon and Ricky were both listed as missing. The following December, a warrant was issued for Shannon's arrest. Things were more complicated than they seemed to be on the outside. Shannon and her mother Diane Dobbs both accused Michael of abusing Ricky. It was unknown if Shannon took off with Ricky so that she could protect him from abuse or if she was just trying to hurt Michael. Diane believed that Shannon ran to protect the boy, so she started a smear campaign against Michael. She thought that by doing this, Shannon would be in less trouble if she were caught. Diane went around town putting up signs that accused Michael of being a child abuser. She also handed out flyers all over town, even at Michael's church. It wasn't long before Michael started to believe that Diane knew something about Shannon and Ricky's disappearance. She allowed police to search her property, but they never found any sign of the missing boy or his mother. For 2 years, Michael didn't know where his son was. He was sure, though, that Diane knew more than she was saying. Finally, in 2009, the police received an anonymous tip that brought them back to Diane's house again. They executed a search warrant on September 4, 2009. Several officers arrived to search the 2-story property in a rural area of Franklin County, Illinois. When they first entered the house, there were no signs of the young boy or his mother. Soon, the search took them to the 2nd floor. They looked behind a dresser that was pushed up against the wall. Much to Diane's dismay, the officers moved the dresser aside, and when they did, they found a hole cut into the wall. They shined their lights into the dark hole, and they saw Ricky and his mother hiding in the tiny space. In fact, the area where they were was just 12 feet long and 5 feet wide. The space was just 4 feet tall, and the officers couldn't even stand up on the inside. They wondered if Ricky had been in this room for the entire 2 years that he was missing. When the officers took Ricky outside, they say he ran around as though he had never seen the outside. Shannon was arrested for felony child abduction, and Diane was charged for aiding and abetting. While out on bail, Diane told her side of the story to Good Morning America. She claimed that the room was there when she bought the house. She claimed that Ricky only spent about 5 minutes in the room when she thought the police were closing in. She says her grandson had the run of the house, and he was even allowed to go outside whenever he was ready. When the police officers on the scene and Diane's neighbors were interviewed, though, nobody believed the boy had ever been outside. The day after Diane appeared on television, she was re-arrested. Shannon pleaded guilty to the charges and was fined $1,500, given 2 years probation, and she lost custody of her son. Michael was granted permanent custody of Ricky. He even retired from the military so that he could focus on being a father. Subscribe for more.